Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome to 434. All right. Today we're going to be talking a little about the Baofeng UV-22 handheld radio. Now, this is a unlocked ham radio, actually. It's an unlocked radio, either way you want to look at it. From this one I got off of AliExpress. Not going to really recommend using AliExpress on a lot of things, and we'll talk about why also. But quick overview on this radio here. Of course, I got this one in a 2-pack deal, and that's part of what we'll talk about. Okay. Like I said, a quick overview here. This is, of course, a 5-watt radio. Like I said, unlocked. This has, of course, your FM, your NOAA weather radio, your AM air band, and, of course, frequencies of 136 to 174, 220 to 260, 350 to 390, and 400 to 520. Now, as I've said, this is a 5-watt radio, but realistically, I mean, you're looking at 3.5 to 4.5 watts transmitting power on high power. That's just the realistics of it. You're going to get the same range out of this that you would any other handheld radio. Now, of course, there's pros and cons to this radio, too. Pros and cons. Of course, one, you can program it via chirp if you use the UV-17 Pro software. You can also use the UV5RM software, I believe, on that. However, even getting Baofeng CPS software, if you got that, you cannot customize the side keys. Now, I like to be able to customize the side keys to do things, but on this radio, you cannot do it. So let's take a look at the radio itself here, just real quick. Basic overview. I've got a stubby antenna stuck on here because I don't want a whip antenna hitting the camera, obviously. One of the big pros on this radio, unlike most Baofengs, is the channel knob there. Of course, you see mine's on, but the channel knob there. Right there, that's always a plus. Now, I'm a big fan of channel knobs instead of course, flashlights. You know, a lot of radios have the flashlight. I'd rather have the channel knob. Okay. Now, of course, standard K-type connector. Always a good plus there. 2 side keys and the PTT. Of course, like I said, the side keys are not programmable. It does have weather on here. On this one, I think it's pre-programmed on one of the side keys along with the FM radio on another one. Okay, now something I did want to say here. Of course, the other side here is this is Type C chargeable. Now, one thing I did not like about this radio and is that this is the first time I've had something that could actually scratch my phone case was due to this radio. The reason is it comes with the screws on the battery for the belt clip. Now, I have the belt clip attached here, which I normally wouldn't do, but the screws are sharp enough that they were able to scratch the phone case when I had it stacked on top of the phone. So, and because the way they stick out, the regular radio cases I like to use wouldn't hold it. So, of course, well, they would hold it, but it wasn't coming back out without a little bit of work. So, naturally, we put the belt clip on this one. Now, as for battery life, this is a bit of contention here because I have different radios with different batteries, and this one, it lasts, decently all day or all night. Now, I've had this radio actually on since yesterday, so it's doing really well on the battery life. Now, the manufacturer site said, or the sales site, whatever it was, said that the batteries were 1,800 milliamp hour. However, the batteries that actually are with it are 2,800 milliamp hour. Now, of course, that may be because the ad that I purchased this on was listed for UV-22L instead of UV-22, which I ended up getting the UV-22 sent to me. I wasn't going to worry about that. Now, of course, when I said looking at should we use AliExpress for buying these radios or not, and AliExpress does have good deals. However, what I have learned is that the problem is with customer service. So, if I have a problem with the radio I purchase on Amazon or through a manufacturer's site, I can get in contact with the seller directly and if I have a problem. With AliExpress, you can't contact the seller directly. Instead, you go through the AliExpress And their solution to everything is we'll just send it back and we'll submit it for a refund. But I chose not to do that on these radios. One, I got them on a good price, and two, it was worth keeping them even though one of them was defective. Now, it wasn't defective right when I got it. It lasted a short time, but then the screen went completely white. But you can hear everything. You can hear the menu prompts. You can go through the menu if you do it just by sound, and using the other one to look at as a guide. You could go through the menu. Now, the problem with all that, of course, is it's a defective screen. Is what the problem is on that radio. Now, I can't contact the seller, directly and say, hey, I got one defective screen. Can you get me a new screen? Yada, yada, yada. Whereas if I'd gone through Amazon or a manufacturer site, I could do that. However, so I got stuck with one that's got a defective screen, and hey, maybe I'll find a screen somewhere for it. Who knows? But means I've got two batteries for one radio, basically. That's always a good little benefit to it. A lot of times when you buy a 2-pack deal, even if one malfunctions, you still have a radio and battery's good there. And I still have a return window on these. They may get returned, but as of now, I may keep them. Who knows? Point to all that is that just be careful if you're buying on AliExpress because of that issue there. I know with Amazon, although, it's going to cost more, but sometimes you have to pay a little more in life for the things that you really want or need. Okay, give me a second here to fix this. Okay. All right, so that's just some things to keep in mind there. Of course, the menu and everything on here is just like with any other Baofeng. I don't think there's too much of any interest here that it does have a scramble mode on it. If you're interested in scrambling your voice, of course, it's not really recommended. It does have a stopwatch here, and power on password if you want to set that up. And I wouldn't recommend because you might forget your password. Stopwatch. Who needs a stopwatch? And of course, it's got a voice privacy setting. I'm not sure what that's exactly for, how that works, so we don't mess with it. Other than that, that's pretty much all the basics, and everything else, of course, like I said, is the same as any other Baofeng. Just a couple of little extra things there. Of course, be careful when you program them. Make sure to turn the dual watch on. That's one thing I will recommend. I noticed that when you get them, the dual watch is turned off, and you need to go in and turn it on. Otherwise, you might be missing something. Especially if you're using two different frequencies, or if you're listening to two different things, as I commonly do. It's one thing about it is I like to listen to two different things at one time with these radios. All right. Okay. That's about all I really have on this radio itself. I mean, if you have questions, of course, put them in the chat. I'll try to get to them. Or in the comments down below. Okay. Let's talk about a couple of other things here. We can just leave that there. We'll talk about a couple of other things here. And one of them is check your equipment. Always check your equipment. One of the things, of course, to check is the reason I say check your equipment is with antennas. So I tend to like to I sometimes will take a radio and just listen to FM off of. And a lot of times, radios, antennas may be malfunctioning, and you may not know it until you turn on that FM radio. So recently, I had taken one of my radios into the other room. I was just listening to something on the FM receive, and I switched the radio to that one because I was going to be around some water. I wanted a waterproof radio. Boom. But it wouldn't receive. I had to switch radios because it wasn't receiving. So when I had a moment, I took time to look at it and investigate the issue. And the issue was the antenna itself wasn't receiving on the FM. And that was just one of these little stock whip antennas like this one here. Not exactly this one, but one like it. So we changed it out with a different antenna. But yeah, definitely always check your equipment on things like that. You don't want to have an antenna that isn't functioning. Also, if you're going to use an antenna, you can always get an SWR meter and check the antenna that way too. Of course, that's not going to tell you if it's working on the FM, but one of the things. You want to get an antenna, of course, that's tuned for what you're going to be using it for. Now, I've talked about antennas before. The one I have on here is not one I would recommend for transmitting. This has a really high SWR. It's a TID radio, TD805S, really high SWR. And I guess it may just be something wrong with that TID radio version. Let's leave it there. I know that I have one just like it that's a diamond antenna, and it has a great SWR on it. So, also, even though they're really cheap, there's some Bingfu antennas out there that are UHF only, 400 to 470 antennas. They're really good. And recently I picked up some of these some antennas. They're a little bit fatter than the Bingfus and a little bit taller, but not by much. Let's see if y'all can see this one here. This one here that I have on this Radtel. It's a little bit bigger of an antenna, but it works really well too. I've tested it on quite a few radios. I got a multi-pack for $3, oddly enough. It was a $3 multi-pack on a sale. So, really a good deal there. So, of course, you can always find things on a good deal, but check the equipment because you never know whether or not it's going to work. Okay, so back on the UV-22 for a moment. Recommendations. If you're going to get one, get it from, even though it costs more, get it from Amazon or a seller that you can communicate directly with. I like the radios. They have a good weight to them. They have a good feel in the hand and a real good firm feel. They're not too boxy. They've got a little bit of curvature to the sides. And then you like that little extra raised curvature, really. And definitely you want to get one from a seller where you're going to be able to contact the seller directly if there's a problem. So on something like this, maybe not using AliExpress. It may not be the best idea. Like I said, I tried to contact the seller directly about the other one, and yeah, that didn't work out. All I got was the AliExpress customer service, and they said, well, we can't connect you to the server. We can't even forward the message to them. I'm like, what? You can't forward a message to the seller to have them contact me? Apparently they couldn't. All right. So, like I said, these are Type-C chargers. Well, they do come with a base charger, although. Now, Type-C charging is great until you realize that you don't have enough Type-C chargers or enough space to plug them all in and leave them laying around. Sometimes the base chargers are better because you can just put them on a shelf or something somewhere, and you may have radios scattered about all of that way. So that's something to keep in mind as well, depending on what you want to do with the radio. Let's lay that back down there. The belt clip on here. So another thing is, it is a sturdy, but it's plastic belt clip with a metal mounting. So it looks like it'll work okay, but you never know. Now, one thing I do like is the battery release on these is up on the top, above the although the belt clip attaches to the battery, it's actually the battery release is just pull up above it and they pop right off. I like that better than the ones where you have to struggle at the bottom, because some of the time when you have ones that you have to struggle with at the bottom on these batteries, it makes them hard to get off. I know I have a radio, the Radtel 463 battery. Really, you get it on there and it doesn't want to come off. I finally got it to actually free up to where it would come off, but it took a while. It took a little while working with that one. So that's a whole different radio, and we've done a whole review on that one before. Okay. I think that's about everything I have today on today's little chat. There's not much really different with this radio than any other, minus the channel knob, which most Baofengs do not have. Like I said, I like the channel knob. I don't know about you, the viewer, although. Let me know in the comments down below, which do you prefer, the channel knob or the flashlight on the top? Now, I'm more into having the channel knob, especially if you're going to have a radio where you're going to be using an external mic. That way you can just have it, even if you just have it on voice prompts for what channel you're switching to, you could have it, on your belt or whatever, and you don't have to take it off and look to see what you're doing. So let me know in the chat what y'all think on that, and if you have questions, put them up there. We are going to be back to doing reviews more often now. So look forward to some reviews coming up. We've got a couple more radio reviews, and we're also going to be talking shortwave radio before long too. So stay tuned for all of those things. So, and tune in to each live stream. And we can even have a conversation about it. About these topics. All right, until then, everybody, y'all go out there and have a good day.